Majority. I also think so. So, a round of applause for Honorable Junet Mohammed to make his remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I am the minority leader, Madam Chairperson. Usiniharibie kasi. The Right Honorable Speaker, Dr. Moses Wetangula, and the Chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Deputy Speaker, Madam Boss Sholei Gladys, Majority Leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Majority Minority Leaders, Chairpersons of committees, and my colleague members of Parliament and staff of Parliament, good morning. Mr. Speaker, it is my great pleasure first to welcome everyone to this important retreat of the House leadership. This gathering, Mr. Speaker, offers us a timely opportunity to reflect, strategize, and collectively chart the path forward as we guide the business of the National Assembly for the remainder of the fourth session. Mr. Speaker, what I wanted to say is that, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you first for organizing this retreat that has been attended well by the leadership of Parliament, the chairpersons of committees, their vice chairs, the leadership of KEWOPA, and senior members of the staff of the House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there was no better time to call for the retreat that you've called for than now, because this is a time we are at the middle of the journey where we need to take stock where we have come from and where we are and where we want to go as Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, this is the leadership of Parliament. When you put the chairpersons, the vice chairs, and the leadership together, this is what forms the conclave of Parliament, Mr. Speaker. You may be the Pope, the archbishops here, and bishops, and imams, everyone is here, Mr. Speaker, who make decision in Parliament. Because our Parliament structure operates on a committee system. So it is very important for us to come together and discuss what goes on and what we intend to achieve with the committees that we at the beginning of the session, Mr. Speaker, of this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we are meeting at a time when many things are in the air. We are meeting at a time when everyone has an opinion, either in support of Parliament or against Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no better time than now for us to meet to discuss those issues. And, Mr. Speaker, I looked at the program and I was changed to the program where we need to host those sessions of chairs, vice chairs, and leadership as a conclave so that we can discuss a few issues that are very important to us as members of Parliament, so that we can either have a white smoke or a black smoke coming out of the chimney. Then we move forward, Mr. Speaker. That was my request to you, to include that in the program, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is us who are sitting here who will determine the destiny of our Parliament. There are no other leaders that are going to come back. Only maybe 7 are away who will join us in December. But the leadership of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, today is here that you lead as the Speaker. Operates in form of committees, and we have done well, in my view, both on oversight committees and departmental committees. But there are a few issues that always come up. I was watching the other day a session of a committee. For example, I want to share with you my experience. And a minister appeared there, the CS, and the CS was asked a question by a member of a committee that how much money do you give as capitation to schools? Clark, this is a very important issue. Can let the speaker hear? I was saying I was watching a session of a committee in Parliament, which was live. A cabinet secretary appeared before a committee and he was asked a question: how much money do you give as capitation to schools, to children? He said, we give 16,000 shillings per student. A member of the committee asked him, why are you not giving 22,000? That's what the policy saying. That's what the policy says. He asked him, but the budget was in Parliament. Why didn't you increase it to 22,000? I just kept quiet. I said, this one now, that is one under an uppercut. Because he said the money was with you, the budget was with you, and the policy was with you. Why did you from 6,000 to 2,000? I didn't have an answer, I just kept quiet. So those are the issues that I was discussing in the conclave. So among other things that we think are important. Mr. Speaker, I also saw a situation where one of my committees, once in the minority, I saw my chairman, a very senior chairman, who said that contract has been terminated. I called him, I told him, Chairman, when have we gotten the powers to terminate government contract? He told me, we shall talk, just wait first. These people are misbehaving. So I told him, you are right, these people are misbehaving. So those are the issues that we are going to discuss in this parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, Parliament as a whole has done very well. If you look at the number of bills that we have passed the last 2 years under your leadership, Mr. Speaker, those are bills that have changed the life of Kenyans. Housing sector, whether it is healthcare, whether it is roads. Mr. Speaker, I think this parliament has been judged harshly because sometimes we could be the bogeymen or women of the politics of the country, Mr. Speaker. And people think that this is the best place to throw dirt whenever they are cornered. Mr. Speaker, among the bills that are before us is the Roads Maintenance Levy Fund Bill. Section 6 of the Kenya Roads Act is the financing keystone of the entire National Roads Program. Because of this, we must, as a House, prioritize the consideration of the Kenya Roads Amendment Bill 2025, sponsored by Honorable Peter Kaluma on behalf of the House Legislative Caucus. The bill seeks to cure the constitutional defect unconstitutional for excluding county governments from the RMLF and faulted the prevailing road classification for undermining devolution. Apart from seeking to cure the constitutional defect, the bill introduces a new section 47A in the Kenya Roads Act to clarify county responsibilities for maintenance, rehabilitation, and development of county roads within national standards and policies. This is the functional counterpart to the financing reform under Section 6 and is necessary to match funding with responsibility. Under the bill, each county is required to designate a competent roads department, open a special purpose account at the Central Bank of Kenya for RLMF transfers, and submit an annual roads program to the board at least 6 months before the financial year, with the board empowered to monitor, evaluate, and take remedial measures. The bill proposes to the county is given 5% share of the fund of the board, while corresponding adjustment of Kenya share from 40 to 36%, Kura from 15 to 14%, and Kera from 32 to 31%. Failure to prioritize the bill carries the grave risk of stalling the entire program. So this bill, for example, Speaker, is very important to us, extremely important, and those are the issues that I think we should discuss. Mr. Speaker, that more than a dozen pieces of legislation had certain provisions declared unconstitutional by our courts. Yet in many such cases, those provisions remain in the statute books until Parliament takes action to amend or repeal them. This creates confusion in the application of the law and undermines the clarity of our legal framework. As the leadership of Parliament, we must establish a clear, efficient mechanism to ensure that whenever a court declares a law unconstitutional, prompt steps are taken to align our statutes with the judicial determination. In doing so, Parliament must work closely with other relevant state agencies, such as the National Law Council for Law Reporting, which monitors the development of jurisprudence in Kenya and highlights the judiciary. But in short, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying, tomorrow, we have to ask the judiciary, for example, they have declared many things unconstitutional, many laws we have passed. I don't know how. You see, before a bill is passed and is presented to the House, the Speaker and the Legal Department of Parliament checks properly the constitutionality of that bill. So when a court of law just declares unconstitutional, that is, I think, a very serious implication. It has a very serious implication on the part of Parliament. So I think tomorrow we need to get a common understanding with them how, what makes them think these things, and can they clarify for us in a better manner? Because I saw like the judiciary declared it's a part of it unconstitutional. Then people started bullying the judiciary in the cyber space. They started crying again, saying that, oh, we're being bullied in the cyber. But you are the ones who say these things are unconstitutional. So you must carry the burden again of being abused and being maligned in the social media space. So they need to come clear to us how easy it is to make a bill, an act of Parliament, unconstitutional. So, Mr. Speaker, I am looking forward to this session more than this one. I want to stop there, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much and the staff for facilitating and making Parliament even look better. Now, when you enter in Parliament from the back side, the rear entrance, Mr. Speaker, that is the only place where now we can take visitors who are from out of the country. Unless you do something else in the front. Now our visitors can only enter from the back. That's when they will feel they have entered Kenyan Parliament, Mr. Speaker. The picture is there, yeah? I can see. Because the place where it used to be the media center, Mr. Speaker, it looks that small dining should be done like that, so that when we quarrel with the chairs, we can go and have lunch there. Though they feel we are in a big hotel, Mr. Speaker. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I thank you all for giving us an opportunity to meet. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for the minority leader. And I want to support that speaker and the clerk. It actually is something we've been overlooking. We are hosting a lot of students. We didn't even have washrooms. Right now, we have very good washrooms. They had to go to the canteen, and that work there is perfect. The next speaker will be the majority leader, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, EGH. A round of applause for him to make his.
Thank you, Martha Wangare, for the session that you're conducting very well. Honorable Speaker, Honorable and colleagues, good morning. Or is it colleagues? If Didmas is here. To be here this morning for this third leadership retreat since of our commitment to ensuring that at all times we do not drop the ball of leadership but maintain the momentum until the end of the term. Honorable Speaker, indeed, just like any other journey, and the risk that we could face if fatigue was to set in, especially as we approach in life. We must maintain the momentum, we must keep the focus, and maintain that vision, the goals that we have set out to. And for us, here, Honorable Speaker, the principal goal is to make sure that we deliver to the people of Kenya what we did promise them individually as members of parliament when we ran for office some 3 years ago, and also collectively as a house and as an administration. We must deliver to the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this journey of a leader is akin to a plane that must be put to maximum thrust to be able to take off, but put more thrust to achieve altitude, maintain that speed at cruise mode, and when you approach your destination, just like in a plane, you must put the greatest thrust to ensure a smooth landing. And it is for this reason, Honorable Speaker, that when our plane took off as a house some 3 years ago, we had the thrust to take off. We are now at cruise altitude, and we must maintain the momentum as the destination is fast approaching in 2027. And it's for these reasons, Honorable Speaker, why we are here today as leaders to renew our synergy as we work together to deliver for the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, looking at this session, as a house, we have made great progress in execution of our oversight and representation roles. I must really commend all of us as leaders in the house, as chairs and vice chairs of committees, and those who hold other various positions of leadership in the house. And we have effectively had the house together support of our Speaker and our leaders. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me to just mention a few of these achievements, we've held a record 79, almost 80. We have been able to process about 65 bills at various stages. We have introduced about 100 cabinet secretaries, requested for 296 statements, considered 53 statutory instruments, including the last one that we considered the day before yesterday on the e-government procurement, laid a total of 2,302 papers and considered 148 committee reports, most of them churned by you as a leadership in committees. This is among other business speakers. These are not just statistics or numbers. The numbers represent long days and nights spent by members both in plenary and in committees of the House discharging their constitutional duties. The Speaker have said I must commend these honorable members, because for every report that we have considered, it has taken many of our members many long man hours to be able to consider that business. We have also considered the approval of various persons, including cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries, commissions or commissioners to various constitutional commissions and other public offices. Notably, Honorable Speaker, we have also implemented the recommendations that required the actions of Parliament in the implementation of the NADCO report, which I was shared with the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. And to this end, Honorable Speaker, you're aware that this House vetted and approved the IBC commissioners, which is now in place. We have since also passed the other NADCO bills, like the Election Offences Amendment Bill, which we just passed last week, but one, which seeks to amend the Election Offences Act to give effective recommendations and views of the public on electoral justice and election integrity. Honorable members, as we move towards the tail end, or rather the second half of this parliament, we will have, for us, there are priority bills that we will consider relating to that will be proposed by members. I were considered by the previous have our successes, we have our stories of success to tell, but we also have our challenges as a house, as an institution, and also which I continue to foresee in the foreseeable future that probably we should be able to consider during this retreat. This information. And the issue of misinformation, even with the statistics that I have enumerated, Honorable Speaker, if the public is not involved and correctly informed on the business of the House, our work will usually always be in vain. The public will never ever be able to see our work because of the crippling culture of misinformation and disinformation, and especially in this AI age. And indeed, as the social media and governance space continues to grow, we are reporting now is at the click of a button. You do not need to wait for news at the end of the day, or wait for newspapers the following day. At the click of a button and typing, news is out there. We must, as a house, find ways of addressing the issue of false reporting on the business of the house. And I appreciate the efforts that the House has put in place to ensure enhanced public participation through social media platforms, much more remains to be done to ensure that there is timely dispatch of information to the public, and not just dispatch of information, but the right information. We will, for instance, recall the fate of the Finance Bill of 2024, which provisions we later passed in the tax laws. Disinformation and the public uproar, despite the bill having some very progressive provisions that were intended to, among other things, boost local manufacturing and promote economic growth. And I must take this opportunity also to thank all of us as a house, because later, when we did the tax laws and the business laws in December of the same year, we are able to pass all these bills without any incident and without any loss in the country. What then can we do better? And that, Honorable Speaker, is what I have seen as a principal objective of this retreat. It is my hope that in this retreat we will have an opportunity to share ideas, and I'm happy to see the Honorable KJ here, who on the program to share with us ideas on what we can do better, especially in communication. And what is clear is that we must work very closely with the media and this is both the mainstream media and even innovative other channels of media, to have this timely dissemination of factual information to the public. And if, in developing this strategy, Honorable Speaker, we must be guided by the analogy that I've been told many times of some 6 blind men and the elephant. And that story goes that there were 6 blind men who were tasked to touch a lion and say what it is without being told what it is. The first man touched the trunk of the elephant and said, "This must be a very thick snake." The second one touched the ear and said, "It must be a fan." The third one touched the legs and said, "This thing must be a tree." The fourth one touched the side of the elephant, and because of the skin and hardness, said, "This must be a." One touched the tail and said it was a rope. Kazi na bokoli omondi. Touch the complete elephant, all of them. Everybody touched the elephant and said what they said. It was, and this is a story of how misinformation and disinformation works. House, the public will always perceive what is out there, truth, and they are right, because that is what they have perceived. And that's why I say our challenge to discuss among ourselves and see how best can we communicate, not from the office, the speaker's office or the leadership offices, but individually, because we all are in the stations. Many a times, Honorable Speaker, I've seen members appear on TV stations and speak to the issues that are before the House based on what they are reading in the media and seen on social media, but not based on the actual facts of what is before the House. More time to read, understand what is before us, so that we are also partakers in the dissemination of correct information. Honorable Speaker, we have a stack because the clerk did allude to the fact that I should many of the issues, but I don't want to take a lot of time, Honorable Speaker. But we have a number of bills that are stuck in mediation. Committee that is yet to be set up. We have challenges where members have been appointed to mediation committees. Some bills date back to 2022, 2023 at the inception of this House and are still stuck in mediation. For instance, the bill that was processed by on food and feed security, that bill is still stuck in mediation, and we need to work on ways to unlock many of these bills. We have now a number of reports, and the important is the economic partnership agreement, which can need to look into many of those things in during this retreat. We have priority business, Honorable Speaker, that is coming ahead of us. Top is, Honorable Speaker, if you can protect from the chair. again. Status, and you know there are those that have been proposed for merger, others to be wound up. And these are some of the things that are there, plus the issue of securitization. And this air passenger bill is speaking to that. The privatization bill, the IPO on the pipeline is speaking to that.
Kareza Maida. If Kareza Maida was here, I would be seeing smiles on everybody's face for different reasons. Honorable members, the Honorable Gladys Boss, my deputy, the majority and minority leaders, our parliamentary service, chairpersons of committees, their vice chairs, members of parliament invited, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In a book known as The Government Inspector by Nikolai Gogol, there is a mayor there known as Anton Antonovich. He told his askaris, get hold of that man and charge him for theft. The askaris told him, but he has not stolen. He said, just charge him. He will steal one day anyway. And that's where you all find yourselves today. So you have to stand together for today, for tomorrow, for the future. In another book called Kusadikika by Shaban bin Robert, he says, maneno yanayoleta chuki na taharuki na kuleta mambo ambayo haieleweki katika nchi yetu, tunaendelea kuyatoa katika msamiati wa lugha yetu. Na kwa maoni yangu, welfare officer falls in that category now. Tutaitoa katika msamiati wetu. Pardon? Oh, yeah. But Super South seems to have gotten it. Those are some of the things that you'll be discussing in the course of today. Before we begin, it will be recalled that this year we have so far lost 3 members of our parliament. Senator William Cheptumo, Honorable Maluli Njendi, and Honorable Charles Ongondo Were. We also lost a retired senior officer, Lucy Wanjohi. May I request us to be upstanding? I said this year. Vanessa was the previous year. Silence. Thank you. These 3 members died within a spate of 1 year. The only such tragedy was the air crash in Marsabit, where we lost the late Honorable Godana, the late Mirugi Kariuki, the late Sasura, the late Mohammed Guracha, the late Bishop Wako, and several other people. Titus Ngoyoni, my former DC in Vihiga, and others. Honorable members, it's great honor for me to be here with you at this 3rd leadership retreat of the 13th Parliament, whose theme is Invigorating Synergy in Leadership for Accelerated Discharge of the Mandate of the National Assembly. You recall that at the beginning of this session, we held a midterm leadership retreat, and resolutions. It's now exactly 7 months since we held the retreat, And there's no better time to sit together and review how we have performed as a House in implementing the resolutions of that retreat. The leadership retreat comes at a time in parliamentary parlance we call the home stretch. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 1021 of the Constitution, the 13th Parliament has only 23 months left to the next general election. As the clock winds down, it behoves us as leaders to reinvigorate our synergies to ensure that the House achieves its mandate effectively. Whereas as a House, we have done tremendously well in the last 3 years in executing our constitutional roles, we must now focus on growing the momentum as we move towards the end of the season. Former US President Lyndon Johnson once said, "Yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours to win or lose." Indeed, whereas we can reflect on the successes and learn from the lessons of yesterday, we need to focus on today and tomorrow and ensure that in the end, we deliver the people of Kenya. As leaders, we have a solemn duty to successfully steer the ship until the tail end. The people of Kenya are keenly looking up to us to see whether this House will leave behind a worthy legacy. In order to deliver on the mandate given by the people, we must be ready to ask the hard questions and introspect on where we have failed and where we can do better. We must also have candid conversations on the challenges that lie ahead and discuss how best we can navigate to ensure service delivery to the people. And indeed, I agree with Jeanette, as buttressed by Ichungwa, that later in the day, we must have a moment of facing each other, mundu ho mundu, to speak to one another on what challenges and what successes we have away from staff, probably except the clerk. And I suggest that if you look at your program, at 5:30, I want us to allocate 1 hour, if not more, to speak to one another. And feel free at that time to speak and tell us what makes us do the things that we do that we ought not to do, and so on and so forth. So those of you who are not staying at the Serena, don't leave early. I'll take the roll call personally to ensure that all of us are here. Because some of us will be able to assist us. Some of us are protagonists in this game. Some of us are victims in this game. And some of us are a bit of both. Honorable members, in order to deliver on our mandate, we must be focused. We occupy a unique place that allows us to appreciate when we get it right as a House and when we miss the mark. To this end, allow me to share matters which we may need to reflect on as the leadership as we steer the House towards a better trajectory. The first thing, public trust and leadership. Honorable members, you will recall that when I took office as the Speaker of the National Assembly, I did emphasize on the need to recognize that we all hold positions of public trust, and the authority and responsibility vested on us should only be exercised in the best interests of the people of Kenya. However, more than at any other time before, doubt has been placed on our integrity as a House. We are all aware of the recent public discussions and allegations about solicitation and receipt of monetary inducements to consider and pass legislation. In my view, these remain allegations, but must ignite serious soul searching on us and the nation as a whole. Like I remarked at my inauguration, I once again wish to emphasize the sacred calling of leadership. As leaders and members of this honorable house, we are bound by the responsibilities and guiding principles of leadership and integrity enshrined in Article 23 of the Constitution. These are not idle principles, they are alive and speaking and must guide us, not just as leaders, but also as servants of the people of Kenya. Undoubtedly, without integrity, a man or a woman is nothing. Without integrity, leaders lose credibility among the people they lead. And without integrity, even the best executed roles are without impact. And without integrity, leadership means nothing. It fails. Honorable members, the question of integrity is therefore not a choice of what is convenient, but a choice of what is right. As leaders, we must lead from the front by upholding integrity in our different roles, and in this regard, in executing your roles as chairpersons of committees. We always tell our own children that to do good and to do right, you don't have to do it because you are being watched. You do it because it's important to do it anyway. So wherever we are, we must act responsibly, whether we are being oversighted or not, because that is a cardinal duty in human life. Indeed, honorable members, as members, it must be embedded deep in your hearts that you hold positions of public trust, which always demand that you must ask yourself a number of solemn questions. In anything you do, the internal monologue that you ought to hold must address the following questions. Is the manner in which I am exercising my roles consistent with the purpose and objectives of the Constitution? Do my actions demonstrate respect for the people of Kenya? Does what I am engaged in bring honor to the nation and dignity to the office of leadership that I occupy? Am I promoting public confidence in the integrity of the office I hold? Does the manner in which I am exercising my roles demonstrate objectivity and impartiality in decision making, and ensuring that decisions are not influenced by nepotism, favoritism, other improper motives, or corrupt practices? Does it demonstrate selfless service based solely on the public interest, demonstrated by honesty in the execution of my public duties? Have I declared my personal interests that may conflict with public duties? And am I ensuring accountability to the public for my decisions and actions? These are personal questions that find their basis in the Constitution and must be close to your heart at all times. As holders of positions of public trust, I therefore call upon you all to live true to these principles. The consequences of deviating from these principles of leadership and integrity are fully known to us. Indeed, Parliament recently enacted the Conflict of Interest Act 2025, which consolidates provisions relating to conflict of interest under one law. The Act, among other things, prohibits us in the performance of an official duty from granting a person preferential treatment beyond what is allowed by law or a written policy. This allows us from being influenced by offers of outside employment in the exercise of an official power of performance of your duties. Prohibits us from entering into contracts for the supply of goods and services, as well as contracts for the disposal of goods with the Parliamentary Service Commission, bars us from acquiring an interest in a legal entity that is party to a contract with the Parliamentary Service Commission, and restricts us from engaging in other gainful employment which is incompatible with our official duties, impairs your judgment in the execution of official duties, or results in conflict of interest. Additionally, the Act establishes an enhanced wealth declaration model that requires you to submit wealth declarations on a biannual basis to the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Committee under supervision of the EACC. In this regard, I direct the clerk to urgently appraise members of the new modalities of submission of the initial declarations to ensure compliance within the prescribed timelines. As your Speaker, I unequivocally restate my commitment to ensuring that the dignity of the House is upheld as envisaged in the law. Out of all obligations imposed on the Speakership, I owe this most to the institution of Parliament and the people of Kenya. Honorable members, we also have the issue of House business, quorum hitches, and so on. Honorable members, moving on, the other area that requires our intervention looking at the last 7 months is the issue of quorum. I don't need to overstate this. I just encourage you, honorable members, that emulate, I don't know who here was in Parliament with Martin Shikuku, Farah Maalim. I don't think Kainan found Shikuku in the House. Martin Shikuku, on each and every day, the Speaker found him in the chamber and the Speaker left him in the chamber. And for the entire sitting time, you would never see Martin Shikuku go to have a cup of tea or even respond to a call of nature. He will just be seated there. And he's the one who made us change the standing orders of Parliament to restrict times of debate. Because Shikuku, on a bill, and without repetition, without being ruled irrelevant, would debate a bill alone for 2 weeks. So after question time, the Speaker would call, this bill is still continuing, and Martin Shikuku was on the floor. And he'll come and speak from 3:30 until 6:30, then you go away. The next day, this bill is still continuing, and the man on the floor was Martin Shikuku. And he would go on to the end of the day, and at no time would anybody find him repetitive or irrelevant. He made us change the standing orders to restrict times that we speak and to create committee system. I want to urge you, and I've talked to my majority and minority leadership, if all of us seated here behaved like Martin Shikuku, we would never have a quorum hitch in the House. I don't agree, I don't know who said here, that when you have a business as a chair, you must be in the House. As a chair, you must be in the House regardless. And if all of you are in the House, then all other members, because many of you, apart from very few, are first-timers. In fact, the only chairs of committees who are first-timers are less than 4. All the rest, you are second-timers, third-timers, and beyond. Please, let's avoid the temptation to give the public fodder to think that we don't work. Because every time the bell rings until it goes off and we go away, the media has a field day. You don't work, you don't care, you're lazy, I don't know what, all sorts of things they say. And then misinformation, disinformation, and fake news takes over to do the damage that we have all been suffering from. So please, let's pay attention to issues of quorum. And I want to encourage you, honorable members. I know you are now on home stretch. Each one of you is struggling to be re-elected, either in a different capacity or in the same capacity. But you can still manage your parliamentary business and juggle with your home constituency in which you are struggling to get your way back. Public participation is another issue. We've been struggling with the issue of public participation since the new constitution. And one entity that doesn't seem to understand what public participation means is the judiciary. And I've told Murugara and his team, Chepkonga and Otienda Molo, and the team that vetted the new Attorney General, You remember we asked the new Attorney General that we needed within a year to see a public participation law. From where I sit, we should not use public participation to squander public resources. If a bill is coming from National Assembly to the Senate, and you have carried out public participation, must the Senate do the same? I don't think so. And I can give you an example, those of you who participated in the sugar bill. I don't know if Emmanuel Wangu is here. The sugar bill was extensively taken through public participation by the committee. And the sugar growing areas are known. Kwale, Nyanza, Narok, and Western are now parts of Rift Valley. Kwale is coast. I started with Kwale. People in the villages were coming to me as you speak and saying, the committee from parliament, you know, Wananchi don't know the difference between parliament and senate, that we are all parliament. So they know you are parliament and that is senate. They say a committee from parliament came here and talked to us about sugar. And we all went there and gave our views. Now we see the senate is also here on the same thing. And we are the same farmers, we are the same people. These are some of the things that the bill we have received from the Attorney General. We also had a bill that had been drafted by Chepkonga or somebody, that we must harmonize and pass this bill because over 70% of our bills have been struck out by the courts on the basis of public participation. And when I engage the Chief Justice, she says, where is the law that guides my judges as to the extent, depth of public participation? So I want us to take this as a priority, that in the next session after recess, in this session after the recess, we give this bill top priority. A bill emanates from the executive. A ministry carries out public participation. It comes to the House. We carry out public participation. It goes to the Senate. They carry out public participation. Somebody goes to court and says, oh, before they did it in the National Assembly, nobody went to the villages. That is why we have now innovated that your offices are our offices. In all your constituencies and in all the counties, the women reps. So those are the centers of parliamentary activities in the outreach. That when we want public participation, we go to Kimilili, we go to Nyaribari, we go to Kilifi North, and talk to people through our offices. It's the depository of parliamentary documentation for Wananchi to respond. So once we finish this, because at all those levels, we are spending public money from the same envelope. So this stage, we can bring it to an end as a responsible parliament. So I hope that Murugara and your team and the caucus, you take us through this bill very urgently, because even the Chief Justice, when she comes here, she will be able to raise this probably. Honorable members, in my engagement with the Chief Justice on the ping pong on NGCDF, she has asked me, we quite don't understand, because CDF, you are saying, and I told her we are not saying it is the law, it is money after vertical division of revenue. So CDF is not a share of shareable revenue between counties and the national government. CDF is a share of shared revenue on the side of the national government. So the governors and their COG have absolutely no issue and no interest in CDF. It is not their money. We have already shared the money vertically, and the national government says our unit of focus for development includes the constituency, and we'll put aside this money to go to the constituency to do A, B, C, D. So we want to make everybody who has doubts about CDF understand So let's protect CDF as much as we can. Honorable members, as I finish, so that we can open up, Ichungwa talked about misinformation and disinformation. I want to add on fake news. There is now a generation of fake news all over, and nobody is targeted more than your speaker. The other day, there was in the Standard, on the page, the Speaker of National Assembly, the Speaker of Senate, about what came out of your PG. You look at the headline, and you go to the story, there is absolutely no relationship. Today's Standard again, is it Nation Today?